Catching mullet for food or bait with Jet. Hi, my name's Roger Osborne. Today I'm down by the lake with my good buddy Jet, and we're going to go mullet fishing because we love catching mullet, and then we want to use some to hopefully catch bigger fish. Oh, no way. I just could hear the drag going. And we're going to teach you everything that we're doing along the way. We'll show you our rigs, our lines, explain the method of what we're doing. So if you're enjoying this content, if it's helping you with your fishing, please make sure that you like and subscribe. Hit the notification bell. What do you reckon, Jet?
Yeah, that sounds good.
Perfect. Okay, Jet, so let's talk tactics.
Okay.
Believe it or not, even fishing for mullet, you need to have a plan, hey?
Yeah.
So we're down by the lake, and I was looking at the weather forecast yesterday, and it said that the wind was from the southwest. Now, why is that important to us? Well, we don't really want, like where we're standing here, can you see how that wind's really blowing in our face? That would make it hard to fish for mullet.
Yeah.
Because we only use really light stuff, and we're using a little float,
Yeah.
which we have to hang on the surface of the water.
Yeah.
And the wind will just blow it like crazy. So I was wanting to know which way the wind was blowing, because then we could actually get on the side of the lake where the wind's behind us.
Yeah.
Now, if you look out over here, can you see over the other side there? See how near the shore it's all like glassy
Yeah.
and it's smooth?
Yeah.
That's because it's protected from the wind, because the wind's coming from that direction
Yeah.
and it's blowing this way. So I actually had thought of going to that spot. Can you see where the boat is?
Yeah.
But there's some people over there and they're water skiing or they're wakeboarding. So actually we can't go to that particular spot
Yeah.
because we want to attract the fish and we don't want anyone to scare them.
Yeah.
Hey, what do you reckon?
Yeah, I reckon. That sounds good.
Have you ever fished for mullet before?
Yeah, I have. I go down to the lake and get mullet and then try and get big flathead. So, yeah.
And yeah, it's good fun, isn't it?
Yeah. Yeah.
Even though I'm a little bit older than you, I still get excited about it. I love it.
Yeah.
It's awesome. So considering that we can't really go there because there's some people having fun over there, I'm just thinking, because we don't really want the wind to blow sideways, we really want it to be behind us.
Yeah.
Now, in a lake like this, you could pretty much expect to catch mullet anywhere,
Yeah.
because really they're all the way through the lake. So if we pick a spot and we chuck some bread in the water,
Yeah.
they should come around.
Yeah.
Okay, so I've got to make a decision, Jet,
Yeah.
because we could go over that side, but just not go near where they are and have a go. But
Looks like there's a spot over there, but I don't
yeah,
know
near
how
where
to
that
get-
sign
yeah.
is. Yeah, I mean, I've never fished for mullet there before, but I'm figuring we could probably attract them.
Yeah.
Only thing is on that side of that sign, see when you come around this bit of a point there,
Yeah.
it's windier on this side than it is on that side.
Yeah.
I'm almost tempted to walk along this edge of the lake, but
Yeah.
up around the lake
Yeah.
and just go around the corner a little bit.
Yeah.
I think we might actually try that.
Yeah. Okay.
Maybe we can go and check one spot out, and if it kind of, I mean, if it's no good, we can always go somewhere else.
Yeah.
So that's what we're going to do. We're actually going to have we're going to check out a couple of spots just to find somewhere that's sufficiently out of the wind, and then we're going to use some bread to attract the mullet and hopefully start catching a few mullet.
Yeah.
All right, let's go for a look.
Okay.
Cool. The tide's pretty high.
Yeah.
You know, it's higher than usual, actually. Well, actually, I think high tide this morning was about 10 o'clock.
Yeah.
That wind seems to have dropped off just a little bit.
Yeah, it has, hasn't it?
Yeah, which I'm happy about.
Yeah.
I prefer it to be less windy than more windy.
Yeah.
This looks like paradise here, Jet.
Yeah, it does, doesn't it?
Isn't it amazing? Like, you walk around the corner, we're on one side and it's like quite cold and windy.
Yeah.
We've come around here, it's beautiful.
Yeah.
How awesome. I reckon we're good here, Jet.
Yeah, I reckon as well.
I reckon it's a good spot to fish. So we can put our gear down. what we might do is stick a couple of these rod holders in. We don't need them for the mullet, but if we want to chuck a line out later and put some fresh mullet on for bait, we can actually put a rod in a rod holder.
Yeah.
So I might put a couple of these over here and whack them into the ground like that, and put one over here. The sand's not that soft here, but that'll do. Perfect. So I've changed hats. I put this wide brim hat on because I just really wanted to make sure that my ears and the back of my neck were protected from the sun. And Jet's got you got the perfect hat, mate.
Yeah.
You know, he was more organised than me, really. He's got a good hat to wear, protect your head and your face, and I've got not as much hair as I used to have on top as well. So the sun can get in there too.
Yeah.
So I've got a loaf of fresh white bread. It's toasty bread. So you know how you can buy bread that's, you know, either normal thickness or toasty thickness?
Yeah.
I always buy the thick bread. We've only just arrived here. There's no obvious signs of fish or anything or mullet, so we need to attract them.
Yeah.
So we're going to use some of this bread, and I'm going to start chucking it out in the water to bring the mullet around. Have you ever done that before?
Yeah, I've done it heaps.
Heaps, eh?
Yeah.
Wow.
To attract them.
And so when you fish for mullet, how do you normally catch them?
Either with a potty trap or with a little rod.
Okay.
Yeah.
And when you use a little rod, how do you normally do that?
With a float.
Oh, with a float. Okay, so that's what we're doing today. Okay. Sounds like Jet's pretty organised with his mullet fishing.
Yeah.
And do you enjoy doing that?
Yeah, I do.
Fantastic. All right, so what we're going to do is, we haven't rigged our lines up yet, so we'll rig them up and show you while we do that. We'll show you rigging up the lines for the mullet. But first we're going to just, because it normally takes, I find, Jet, it's hard to know how long it takes for the mullet to come round, but normally it could take 15 minutes, 20 minutes, it could be quicker than that, just to attract some mullet to this spot. We're not talking about like the little potty mullet that are that big.
Yeah.
We're talking about bigger mullet, which are actually big enough to eat, or you can fillet them.
Yeah.
Or if you want to try and catch a really big fish, then you could put one of the really big mullet on as bait. But I don't think I brought any hooks big enough for that today.
Yeah.
So if we put any mullet on, they'll have to be slightly smaller, or we'll need to fillet them.
Yeah.
Just another little tip is, when you're using the bread, you don't want it, when you're putting it on your hook for bait, you don't want it to dry out and go crusty because it won't stay on your hook properly. So if you've got some like this, keep the bread in the plastic bag because it keeps it soft and moist. And just take out a couple of slices at a time as you need them. So I'm going to do that now. I'm going to grab a couple to use for burley. We'll just show you how you do that. And I'll put this bread down here. Sometimes I even like to put it in the shade.
Yeah.
I'll hide the bread behind my bucket and put it in the shade or something.
Yeah.
Now, Jet, I'm just going to explain to our friends who are watching this video what we're doing.
Yeah.
So we're on the edge of a lake. The deep water's not that far out, but we have a bit of weed just out from the shore. How about we walk out a little bit, Jet? It's the bottom is fairly. Oh, I just saw some fish. Do you see those little swirls there? So we've actually got a bit of a weedy bottom here that probably goes for about 8 metres in that direction, and then beyond the weeds it drops off into slightly deeper water and sandy bottom.
Yeah.
We kind of want to attract the mullet. We don't want to chuck our stuff out too far, and we want to attract them, you know, close to where we want to fish. But you know, Jet, there's another thing. Because the wind is coming from that way and it's coming past this way, probably when we put our bread in the water, the wind's going to blow it a little bit.
Yeah.
So that means that the wind can carry our burley away. You know, that's how that works, isn't it?
Yeah.
So if we cast the burley out too far, then it may take the fish away from us, because if the wind blows it, they'll follow the food, hey?
Yeah.
So I've actually wet this a little bit. This is the crust, and I'm breaking it up into smaller pieces. I'm going to just chuck some out there like that, and it's floating on the surface, even though I did wet it a bit. What we should do is watch it, because it probably will go that way. So I think what I should do is actually toss it that way a little bit, so that it ends up coming down here. So I'm going to chuck some up that way. I just might mush up a little bit more, make it so it sinks a little bit.
Yeah.
Have you caught other fish on bread other than mullet?
Yeah, I've caught brim.
Yeah?
I think that's it. I've only caught brim and mullet.
Okay, yeah,
on
well,
bread.
brim definitely like bread.
Yeah.
That's for sure. You know what, one time I was fishing in a lake like this, with a float, like we're going to do today, and I caught a snapper.
Really?
Yeah, on a bread.
Oh.
Because snapper are they're like a brim, aren't they?
Yeah.
You know, and okay, so I'm just wondering where that first bit of bread is that we threw in. I think it's actually over there. Hey, look, something's touching it. Look at that.
Oh yeah.
Can you see that? You can see the brown bit of bread out there. I'm just going to chuck that out there. See where that landed?
Yeah.
There's a piece of bread. Oh look, just here.
Yeah.
That didn't take very long.
No.
We've actually just seen some fish on the surface. So if they're on the surface, Jet, then they would be mullet, hey?
Yeah.
Well, that's pretty cool. Wow. All right, I'm going to chuck a little bit more. So, yeah, we probably will even burley up some garfish,
Yeah.
I think.
Yeah.
Alrighty. Okay, so I've used the crust of that loaf, and we've actually already seen some fish out there. So that's quite promising and exciting, and it didn't take very long at all. So now we're going to rig up our lines. Okay, Jet, you've got a few goodies in your hand that I gave you. So the first thing we need, Jet, is this little piece of rubber.
So what does the rubber do?
What does the rubber do? Well, first of all, I'm going to put it in my mouth. Just wet it.
Yeah.
That goes on the line first. It's a stopper for the float, and that you can set the depth. So what I've just done is I've just put my line through that piece of rubber, and once you put it through once, you bring the line around and put it through a second time. I'll just grab it there. So you can see like it's a loop. I won't tighten that yet. Can you see that loop of line?
Yeah.
And then you just pull that tight. And you moisten it with your saliva. But what it means is you can push that up the line.
Yeah.
Or you can pull that down the line.
Yeah.
So you put the bit of rubber on first. And I bought a few small floats today. Just a little bobby cork, little baby one.
Yeah.
So I bought these, and so now I'm going to put this on by threading that through a bit further. Try and get in there. Comes out the other side. So now we've got our float. What am I doing? On the line. See that, Jet? See how the float stops?
Yeah.
Where that bit of rubber is?
Yeah.
So what happens is when your line goes in the water, your bait goes down and the float, it stops there like that. So that controls how far the bait is under the float.
Yeah.
If you would like your bait to be deeper under the float, then you just really push that rubber thing up the line, and that means when you toss your line out, then your bait is deeper.
Yeah.
So for example, if you wanted to catch mullet, you keep it really close to the surface, but if you wanted to target brim instead with bread, you'd fish with it a lot deeper because the brim generally are down deeper.
Yeah.
All right, so we've put our rubber stopper and our float on. The next thing we're going to do is put on a little sinker, which will just help take our bait below the surface. You can see here, I've got two there. I didn't have two the same size, so I'm going to put this little one on here because we don't really need much. So just to recap there, you've got the rubber first, then the float, and then the sinker. Now the next thing we're going to do is tie on a swivel. You don't really need one that big, but it doesn't matter. I don't have any baby swivels. So we're going to tie the swivel on. I'm just going to put the line through the swivel. I'm going to hold it up against the black background of your shirt, Jet, so I can see to tie it. So I'm just doing what's called a half blood knot or a clinch knot. See now, I just wind up a little bit of that slack line. You can see we have a bit of rubber.
Yeah.
And then it comes down to where we have the float that's free running on the line, and then under the float is a little sinker. tied to a swivel.
Yep.
Can you guess what we do next?
Put some more line and then put a hook on.
Perfect. We're going to put a little leader. Any kind of length of line to a hook is called a leader. So we're going to tie a little bit of leader line on there. I've got some in my bag. Can you hold that for me, Jet?
Okay.
Let's need to grab the leader. This is actually 8-pound leader. It's just what was handy this morning. If I was fishing for mullet, normally I'd go a little bit lighter than that, but 8 pounds pretty light, that's okay. And with the knot that I tied a second ago, if you'd like to know how to tie that knot, I have a video on my YouTube channel on how to tie that particular knot. So I'm sure you better find that. Now I'm going to just take off a bit of this leader, Jet. This is a brand new spool. I haven't used this before. So it's got a little sticker on there. So now that I'm down to my swivel, I've got my length of leader, which is about 40 centimetres long, and I'm going to tie that onto the swivel. Then I'll be attaching the hook to the other end of that. Last but not least, Jet, thank you for holding the goodies. I'm going to get one of these tiny little hooks. Look at that, it's a little baby, isn't it?
Yep.
Do you know that saying, Jet, that big hooks catch big fish, but small hooks catch all fish?
Yeah.
So Jet's line's rigged up, so Jet can start fishing and then I'll rig my line up. So we have our float. We've got our little hook underneath the float. The float is free flowing. We've got our little stopper up there. And we'll just have a quick look at the rod and reel that we're using. This is just, it's a typical reel that I would use in the lake. Well, in this particular case, it's a 3000 size reel. You don't need a reel that big. You could use a smaller one. And this particular rod is 6'10" in length. It's rated 2 to 4 kilo. You don't need a rod. You could use a lighter rod than that, but really you just need a rod that's about this long, about 6 foot long. You don't need a big rod, and it's certainly light enough. So now what we're going to do, Jet, we saw before that the fish were starting to come round, but we've been chatting and rigging up, so we need to chuck a little bit more burley out. Normally what I do, once I've used the crust of a loaf, at the end of the loaf, I just then use the crusts for burley. So I'll take the crust off because I like to use the soft middle part for bait. You want to hold that, buddy?
Yep.
So I'm going to use a bit of this crust to burley up again. We've already seen a friendly seagull out there trying to knock our bread off.
Yeah.
And he's waiting for some more. So he'll undoubtedly get some, but there'll be a little bit left for the fish as well. I'm just going to wet it a little bit because it will still float. Actually, I just saw a fish only just out there. So I'm just going to, once again, not have huge pieces and toss it a little bit to our left so that if it does drift with the wind... There's something just there. Look, I've hooked the bottom. Look at that. I've got one. Whoa. All right, I'll just chuck a bit of bread out. So chuck it out about there. All right. I'm going to toss this little bit of bread on the sand because we can use that for burley anytime. And now I'm going to show you how I put bread on the hook for bait. You probably already know how to do that, but you can let me know what you think. Okay, so I like to use the soft part because the main reason I like to keep it soft and supple is because you can mold it. Once it dries out, you hold that, buddy. Once the bread dries out, it's like trying to put a hook in it. You imagine what it's like trying to put hook in crusty bread. So I've just got a little bit of bread here, only because the hook's so tiny. Oh, that's a bit of rubbish on there. I'm just going to put the barb of the hook into the bread and sort of fold it around. There's not a lot there, is there?
No.
Just a little bit of bread like that. And I might just give it a tiny little squeeze like that. So then you can see the hook is hidden, or the barb of the hook is hidden within that bread. It's not a big bread bait, but that's a good size bait for mullet. When you put bread on, do you kind of do something similar, or what do you do?
I do something similar.
Yep, okay. Now I think that's a reasonable depth to start fishing at, so I'm going to let you have a go with that, Jet. You can give me that bread. And I toss your line out where you can see the bread that we chucked in the water floating, and I'll let you get started, and I'll rig my line up.
Okay.
Perfect. And look, you can put that in your pocket if you've got a pocket.
Okay.
And you can use that if you want to. If you lose your bait, you can rig it up again. Have you had anything exciting happen in recent times when you've been fishing?
Yeah, I've had, well, we went out on the boat, like out off Kiola, and I caught a nice gummy shark. It was, I think it was a meter. I caught that, and I caught on the, because we had 2 hooks, I caught a flathead as well, a nice flathead
At the
as
same
well.
time?
Yeah.
Okay, did you keep the gummy shark to eat?
Yeah. Yeah.
And what was it like?
They're really nice. They're like, yeah, best fish I've ever had. We just crumbed ours, but yeah, you could probably do a lot of different ways.
So you got a double hook up with gummy shark and flathead.
Yeah.
Did you catch any other fish on that trip as well?
Yeah, we caught heaps.
Were you drifting?
Yeah. Caught snapper, we caught in the morning, and then like when it started to get light, we went flathead fishing, and I think we caught 20 flathead.
Wow. Do you know what the bag limit for flathead is?
Yeah, I don't know for sand flathead, but I know that it's 10 for dusky.
Yeah, those ones, they're a different type of flathead, the ones that you get
Yeah.
out when you're drifting. I think they're either a tiger flathead
Yeah,
or a sand flathead. Now I'm rigged up now, a bit of a bite.
yeah.
So I'm going to get a bit of bread and put it in my pocket so I can join Jet now. And there's a few fish that we burleyed up out there, but it's important to note that you need to keep putting a little bit of food in the water to actually consistently draw the fish to where you are. So that's what we're going to do. We're going to just put a sprinkling of burley in the water as we go. I'm going to put this bread in my top pocket. That'll be nice and handy for me to get some bait when I need it. And I'm going to toss out a bit, I'll put the crust in my other pocket. I've still got a bit of bread on the ground here that we can use for burley, so I'll chuck that out, Jet. Oh, bit of a bite.
Yeah.
I saw that. All right, so my aim is I'm going to throw this burley roughly where Jet and I are throwing our lines, so that when we put our floats out there, it's right next to the food that I'm chucking out in the water. So I'm just going to flick that. That's about where you were landing, Jet.
Yeah.
So I just toss a little bit of bread out there to excite the fish. Look at that, you landed right on top of it almost. Yeah, whack that out there. Alrighty. Okie doke, let's see if we can get something, eh?
Yeah.
The question is, what type of fish will we catch first? Will we get our target species or will we catch a brim?
Yeah.
Oh, we don't want to catch a bird, that's for sure. Why don't you tell us, Jet, when you're fishing with a float,
Yeah.
oh, I got a fish. No way. Oh, he got off.
Oh,
Would you believe?
that was quick.
I just chucked it out. I turned around and I couldn't see my float. It was gone. Oh, well, I missed him. But I had him on. I think it was a mullet. So, Jet, when we're using a float and we chuck it out in the water, what do we do next? How do we hook a fish?
Well, when you see the float go down, you just lift it up and...
So you've got to keep watching the float all the
Yeah.
time, right? Because you know, how do you know when the fish has bitten your bait?
Because you will see the float go down.
You see it go under.
Yeah.
So that's what we're doing. We're both watching our floats, waiting for a fish to pull it under the water, so we can then hook it. Man, I should have got that fish, that first one.
That would have been a good start.
Yeah.
Oh, where's my float gone?
I had a bite then too. It went under, but I missed him. I didn't hook him that time.
Yeah.
So whack another bait on. When you have your float out there, you don't want to impede the float by having your line too tight, but you also don't want to have a lot of slack line because you need to be able to strike to set the hook. So the idea is to wind up any slack, but just have the smallest amount so that the float can bob naturally without being obstructed, but you don't have this huge loop of line so that when you go to strike, you can be fairly direct with your strike. Now, I might have lost my bait. I haven't had a bite, and I think I better check it. Because when your float bobs there for a while, if you're not getting a bite, sometimes they just steal the bait, don't they?
Yeah.
So you need to check it. Oh, did you see that? It actually pulled line.
Yeah.
I didn't even strike. My float just went like that, and it made the drag go. I got one this time. What could it be, Jet?
Hopefully a mullet.
Yeah, hopefully it is a mullet. It's fighting a little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's got a little bit of aggro. We're going to bring him in. Yes, what is it?
Mullet.
It's a mullet. There you go. That's a beautiful mullet. How's that, Jet? We've got one already.
Yeah.
You can see that little hook in his mouth. Well, you know, we've just come here and chucked a bit of bread in the water. We've been able to attract the mullet, so I reckon we should get a few, eh?
Yep. Hope so.
So I've got my bucket here. I'm going to put a bit of water in there. Keep the mullet alive. I'll have to change the water every so often because I don't have an aerator. Whoa! Keep him nice and fresh. So Jet, we actually already, because we've got a mullet, we've already got bait.
Yeah.
If we wanted to chuck something else out, we could fillet him and put him out for something bigger, like a nice brim or a flathead or something.
Yeah.
Oh, I got another one. Would you believe? What is it? Whoa!
Another
Leaping out of the water. Wow. They fight quite hard.
mullet. Yeah.
These are quite good sized ones. Here he comes. I'm going to lift him up onto the sand. Look at that, he's a little bit bigger than the last one. So that was 2 casts in a row actually. Yeah, he's a little bit bigger than the last mullet, this one. So I'm going to put him in there with the other one. Yeah, he's definitely a little bit bigger. Have you got one, Jet? No. I know you got a weed fish.
Yeah. Yeah.
This type of fishing is great for kids because it's so visual. You're watching the float and it keeps you engaged, and then when you see the float go under the water, that's when you strike to set the hook. So my float has landed out there. It just went under the water then, but I missed it. Yeah, it's awesome fun. And it doesn't matter whether you're old or young, it's great. It's a great form of fishing. So I'm just putting another little bit of bread on. I just want to show you the end product of the bread that I've just put on. You can see the size of that piece of bread. That hook is a size 10. The actual style of hook is a sneck, S-N-E-C-K, a sneck hook. What happened?
I missed it.
Ooh, it's your turn, Jet.
Yeah.
We might catch a big brim like this too. You know what? If we set the depth a lot deeper, we'd be more likely to catch brim than mullet.
Yeah.
So it's interesting. We could try that just to mix it up, but oh, I can see. Did you see that? They were hanging around your float then.
Yeah.
I could see them swirling around it. Come on, fish. Oh, I've missed about 3 in a row, Jet. Definitely getting bites. You know, sometimes they can be a garfish and not a mullet. And their mouths are much smaller
Yeah.
and a little bit harder to hook. Oh, as soon as my float hit the water then, the fish tried to eat the float. Got him. Oh, you know what I've got? Exactly what I said, a garfish. Look at that.
Got him.
Jet's got one. That's it. Well, it looks like it's a good one, Jet. That might be a mullet, not a garfish, I think. It's pulling too hard for a garfish.
It's a mullet.
Oh, look at that. That's a beast. Look at that. Oh, mate, that's a cracking mullet. Look at that. We've got a mullet. Got a mullet and a garfish. My goodness. I think he's the biggest one so far. These garfish are brilliant bait. This one's a little small to eat, but they are fantastic bait for a variety of species. I was speaking to a guy recently who'd been out in his boat using garfish for snapper and had caught some really good snapper using fresh garfish for bait. So there you go, mate. That's what's nicking our bait some of the time.
Yeah.
There's the little garfish. What do you mean? Man, yeah, your mullet is definitely the biggest. So Jet, you make videos too, don't you, mate?
Yeah, I have a YouTube channel.
You have a YouTube channel?
Yeah.
What's it called?
Jet South Coast Adventures.
Wow, that's awesome.
Yeah.
So how long have you been making videos?
I think since 2022, so 2 years.
2 years. Wow, I think that's impressive, mate.
Yeah.
It's really good. Are you enjoying doing that?
Yeah. Lots of fishing and...
Okay, so make sure that you check out Jet's South Coast Adventures. So good to see young kids doing things that are creative and exciting. It's really good to see, Jet.
Yeah.
Oh, he's got another one. He's on again, 2 in a row. Oh, it looks like a big one too.
Might be a brim.
Might be a brim. Let's see. It's pulling pretty hard. I'll get out of your way.
Oh no.
No, it's another big mullet. Look at that. Oh, he's fell off. Grab him.
I think that's the biggest mullet I've ever caught. It's pretty big.
Well, I reckon it's mullet city out there at the moment, isn't it?
Yeah.
You know, you can see how it's not a difficult thing to do and very productive, very enjoyable. And really our main thing today was to get out of the wind.
Yeah.
So we could fish somewhere and chuck some bread in the water and bring the mullet around. And the size mullet that we're catching are a good size for eating. They're actually a fantail mullet. There's different varieties of mullet, but these ones are fantail mullet. I'm just waiting for my float to go under. Oh, I got one. Oh, I felt my drag go then. Did you hear that? Yeah. Not that I don't have it too light, but this is exciting fishing. Mullet are like little marlin. Yeah. They leap out of the water. They're actually quite, on light tackle, they're a lot of fun. Well, this is mullet number 5. 2 for you, 2 for me. Actually, this is 3 for me now. And a garfish. You know, these little hooks, you think these hooks are tiny, but they certainly work. Now, I don't fish for mullet all that often, only when I need bait, generally. But I'd like to eat some of these because they're just a beautiful size. I reckon done in a nice panko crumb, just simple egg and crumbs with a bit of mayo or aioli would be fantastic. So I'm going to put this in the bucket. I actually have made a mullet cooking video. It's on my channel where I cook mullet 3 different ways. And they're certainly delicious, the 3 different methods in that particular video. So if you're interested, you could have a look at that. I'll put this guy in there. Starting to get a little bit of a catch happening. Well, we've already been successful, haven't we, Jet?
Yep.
Haven't really been fishing all that long.
No.
I don't think. I reckon you're going to get a bite pretty quickly, mate. You're right in the zone.
Might have taken my bait. Oh no, still on there.
Look, did you hear that?
Good one.
You hit it quite hard. I better tighten the drag a little bit.
Oh.
He's got a bit of go in him, this one. Have you eaten mullet, Jet?
No, I can't say I have.
Are you willing to try?
Yeah, I would.
If you eat fish that I cook, Jet, you wouldn't be able to resist it. Yeah, it's another classic. This is very typical of the sort of mullet you catch when you employ this method. I used to do this as a kid in Narrabeen Lake on Sydney's northern beaches, where I grew up. I used to fish like this a lot for mullet on the lake, and exactly the same thing happened at Narrabeen. If you employ this method in just about any lake and river, I've done it in other places. I've done it in the Bellinger River, which is near Urunga on the north coast, just short of Coffs Harbour. Even in the river where you've got a current, I used to burley up like this and fish with a float and catch big mullet. So you can do this wherever you may live up and down the coast. Mullet are very widespread. They're in just about every lake and every river.
I come fishing in the boat here.
Do you?
Yeah, catch pretty big flathead and a lot of them.
Oh, man. Oh, I should just see it leap out of the water. He got off though.
Oh.
So your dad must like fishing too.
Yeah, he does.
You know, I reckon in a minute, Jet, I reckon we should chuck we should fillet one of those mullet and chuck some out.
Yeah.
You know, when you're fishing, when you're burling for mullet and you use these little floats, the majority of the float is white and it looks just like bread to the fish. So what happens is when you chuck these little floats out, the fish thinks that the float is bread because it's white. So you often see the fish bumping into the float, knocking it and pushing it around and trying to eat it. So it kind of attracts the fish as well.
Oh, yeah, I got one.
Oh, cool.
It's only a little one.
It might be a brim this time.
Oh, what is it? Oh yeah, tiny little brim.
Oh, sugar.
It's a little brim.
Oh, got him. Got him, yay. Oops. Oh man, I've been hooking a few and losing them,
Yeah.
Jet. It's a good idea to keep your bait in your pocket because it doesn't dry out. So I've just put my little bit of bread on. You can see how far underneath the float it is. Not far. Just going to flick that out. Oh, good shot. Oh man.
Maybe it'll come for mine.
I can feel that.
Oh, it did. There's a heap of mullet out there.
Yeah. Got him. Oh, whoa, look at that. He leapt out of the water. He's quite a solid one, this one. Yeah, definitely.
That does look like a good one.
Probably similar to the one that you caught in size. Oops. Oh, there you go. Well, they're all kind of, yeah, a similar breed. Very handsome fish. And they exist in there, probably millions and millions and millions and millions of them. So I think it's time to actually, I'm going to rig one of my other lines up in preparation for putting out a bit of fresh mullet bait to see if there's a brim, flathead, snapper, something out there that would like to eat some fresh mullet. I've killed this fish. I brain spiked him. And now I'm going to fillet him for bait. So I'm actually going to scale the fish because I don't want to leave the scales on because they're a hindrance to the hook and the barb going through the flesh. So I'm going to scale him first. I'm going to hold him by the head. Just use my knife. Very easy to scale the fish. Like that. So there you go. Beautiful. Scaled bit of mullet. And then I wouldn't fillet him the same way that I would if I was filleting him to eat. I'm just going to cut straight through there and then turn on an angle and follow the backbone. I'm just going to run my knife along the backbone like that, and then if I flip that over, look at that, it's a fillet of mullet. So I've taken one side off this mullet. I'm just going to place him down here, and I'm going to cut. I don't want a big bait. This is all flesh here, there's no bones in that part. There's some rib bones, etc. on this side. So I'm actually going to cut this fillet in half on the side of the bones long ways, like that. So I've got a beautiful piece of fillet. I'll get 2 lovely baits out of that. So I'm going to cut that piece in half. That is probably about 1.5 to 2 centimetres thick. And that's about 12 centimetres long, so fine. Okay, so I've rigged up a rod. I'll show you the rig, and I'm going to put this piece of mullet on. So this line's actually got braid. This is one of my little flathead rods. And all I have is a ball sinker, down to a swivel, and then a leader about 1/2 metre long. And this is a 3/0 suicide hook. So I'm going to put this bit of mullet on. I'm going to toss it out as a set line. Jet and I will keep fishing for mullet. So I'm actually not going to make it very complex. I'm going to put it through the flesh side into the skin. Then I'm going to put it from the skin through back into the flesh, like that. And then I'm just going to do a half hitch. Just loop the line over itself around the top part of that fillet. Oh, it didn't hold on then, did it? So I think I might put that through a little bit further down the fish. A little bit further down there. It'll sit a little bit better. Then I will create a loop to do a half hitch, pull that up like that, and just toss this out like so. Now that would be a great bait for a nice brim, or a flathead, or trevally, or different species of fish. The leader on this is only 10 pounds, so it's not mega heavy. If a tailor swallowed that, it would just chop it straight off, but I'm not really expecting to hook a tailor during the day. I'm going to chuck this out into the channel beyond the weeds, and then while myself and Jet are fishing, if that rod goes off, Jet, it doesn't matter who grabs it. If you see it and it's going zzz, you can run over and grab it, or if whoever's closest to it can grab it. So I'm going to put it in this far rod holder because we're fishing here and I want it to be out of our way a little bit. So, but I want it to go out in the deep water, so I'm going to walk out a little bit. And toss this lovely bit of fresh mullet out into the channel. That's certainly far enough out there, out beyond the weed bank. And I've got the drag just set moderately on this, so I might just lighten it just a little bit. If something big takes it, we'll certainly hear the drag go. And put that in there, and then we can get back to the mullet fishing. I've got a slightly smaller hook on Jet's line, so I've just put just a lovely little morsel. Look at that, Jet.
Yeah.
You think something would want to eat that, hey?
Yeah.
And we'll put him on. And what I might do is grab that other rod holder and we'll walk. Actually, how about we go over there?
Yeah.
We want to put in a reasonably decent cast to get out past the weeds. So what I want you to do, I'll bring this over here and I'll get you to do a strong cast.
Yeah.
Okay, so walk out as far as you can, and Jet, see that boat out there?
Yeah.
Aim for that boat.
That one?
Yep.
Yep.
That one out there, but cast it as far as you can.
Yeah.
Oh, look at the rod go. Wait and see what happens.
Missed it.
Like that piece of mullet. See if you've still got any bait.
No.
No bait?
No bait.
I'll give you another piece.
Something had a go at that. Left the skin on. But I was too slow. So we'll have to be faster.
What's the story with that?
Yeah, I know. I wish it hooked itself.
We'll try again.
Yep.
Okay, whack it out, bro.
Yep. We're back to float fishing. We had the 2 set lines out. Something just took my bait. We're going to try and get a few more mullet and put them in the bucket for bait.
Now, when you're fishing with a float, it's really good for learning, you know, eye to hand coordination, reflexes, because when you're watching the float, you need to actually watch it with an eagle eye, because you're waiting for that. As soon as that float disappears under the water, you need to make sure it's gone fully under the water. But once you know that the fish is swimming away with it, you need to strike to set the hook. So you've got to watch it like an eagle so you don't miss that moment. And you don't want to strike too early. Like if you see the fish just tugging at the float and it's just bobbing a bit, wait until the float fully disappears under the water before you set the hook. Oh, I got one. Hooked up again. Okay, well that was only my...
Oh, 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 oh.
What? Did that rod go?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's another mullet. It's going to get him in quickly. Whoa! So we'd stopped fishing for mullet to rig up our other lines. Put some lines out with some fresh mullet on for bait. So we just started burling up again, just to chuck a bit of bread in the water to bring them back around. But it didn't take long. They're obviously still hanging around out there. And we have had a couple of bites on our set lines, so hopefully they pay off soon.
Oh, 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 oh. Good fish.
Oh, is there a fish on there?
Yeah.
I got one too. So that's taken the, I'm going to pull him in quick, it's just a little brim. Oh, no way. This is, I just could hear the drag going. Oh, wow, Jet, what have we got? Hold your rod up a little bit. Okay, that's fighting, so that could be a keeper.
Yeah.
Awesome. We'll walk up here. Wow, that's pulling a bit of line. I'll get out of your way. You might take a bit more line when you get him in closer. Can't see it yet. Where's he going? You might have to be careful on the edge just in case he pulls really hard. Oh, there it is out there.
Oh, come off.
No way. I saw a silver flash,
Yeah.
did you?
Yeah.
I think that was a really big brim. That fish was like that big. Huge silver as it turned. Wow.
Yeah.
That was so close. We better put a bit more bait on.
Yeah.
Wow.
Oh, that
Man.
was close. Had a couple of good runs as well.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, you give that one to me and grab your rod. I'll put a new bait on this one.
Yeah.
Man, that was a serious fish, Jet.
Yeah.
That was a quality fish that Jet just had on. It got it pretty close to the shore, but obviously wasn't hooked that well. So hopefully there's some more out there like that. Had a couple of good runs up here, so we're going to put both of our lines out here. All I've got on here is just a little piece of mullet. Just a little chunk. That's what we hooked that bigger fish on, just a little piece like that. So this is Jet's rod. We'll whack that out there, test his drag, and put that in here. I think I need to check the bait on the other one because it had a couple of solid hits. I've nearly used all of that first mullet. So that one's out there now, buddy.
Yeah.
So I'll have the two lines here. Okay, so hopefully that will hook something. I got tangled up with Jet's line before because the sinker on his line's really light, and I think the breeze blew it across my line, and when you get braid tangled to braid, it's all over. So I've just re-rigged his, and now I'm going to re-rig my line as well and get it happening.
Yeah. Yeah.
What is it? Oh, it's a brim. Brim on bread. I think he's not quite big enough, Jet.
No. Nice little brim. I'm back. Too small.
Oh, I got one. Whoa. Another one to add to the tally, although he's not in yet. Oh, I think I'll just lift him straight up. Whoa. He's pretty chunky. Look at that guy. He's pretty solid. They're just very classic size fantail mullet. Certainly big enough to eat, that's for sure.
I'm just checking if the bait's okay. Something took the bait off, so we'll change the bait over.
Yeah, that'll do.
I'm just getting a few bites. They look pretty good.
Oh, I got one. I think I got another mullet. Oh, it's quite a good one.
Oh,
Pretty chunky. Oh,
oh.
he mustn't have been hooked very well. That was quite a big mullet, that one, but he obviously wasn't hooked very well. Still having lots of fun. You could stay here all day.
Yep.
Oh, that's pulling line. Oh, Jet, just hold that rod up high, mate. Let the rod do the work. Hold it up high. Wow, that is not a small fish, Jet. I don't know what you've got there, but that's we better be gentle with that. It's a beast. Wow, it's taken off down sugar. Might tighten that drag just a little, just a that's enough, yeah. Let's just walk around this, actually, where's that line? I'll pull it in. Wow, that's a big fish. What is it? That's the question. Man, it pulled a lot of line. It could be a big flatty. It could be anything.
Could be a stingray.
Whoa.
Oh, God, I thought it came off
The
then.
thing is,
It's not really doing much now.
just keep winding it in. Just gently pump it in. Okay. This is exciting. It's always exciting when you get something really ripping the line out.
Yeah.
Hopefully we get to see what it is. Hopefully it's an edible Jet.
Yeah.
It's got a bit of weight in it, hasn't it? It's coming in now. Coming in this way anyway. It might run again when it gets near the shore.
Yeah.
Walk up around this one. Where is it? Oh, the line's, the hook's come up the line. That's what's happened.
Oh, here it goes.
Oh, that's a big stingray, mate.
Is it a stingray? Oh, yeah.
Yeah, that's a really big stingray.
Oh,
Check this out. Look at him. Look at the size of that thing. Just bring him, come over here. Oh. He's actually got a very, very long tail. We want to stay away from that.
yeah.
Oh, look at him. Yeah, I can see that. Woo. Oh well. We know what it is. Good practice.
My teacher says it at school. He always says you're a stingray slayer. So, guess I am. Well, it was exciting at first, but then it's gone from exciting to I hate this.
It's all part of fishing, isn't it? There's some big stingrays in here. That one was probably about 600 mil across, maybe. More than half a metre. It was pretty solid for the lake, and he had his tail was like really long and whippy.
Yeah.
He could he'd be able to get you. We don't want him to get us.
No.
So how have you found this session, Jet?
Yeah, pretty good. We missed a few and lost some. Got a lot of mullet though. So
Yeah, no, we've caught some great mullet. It's been a really good session. Beautiful time of the day to be fishing. Definitely an abundance of mullet. I don't know how many we've caught, but we've got a few.
Yeah,
And they're good size ones.
yeah, they are. They're really good.
So I trust you've learned a few things watching this video. Hopefully if you're a parent, this is great stuff for teaching your children to fish. And if you've been enjoying the content, please make sure that you like and subscribe. Hit the notification bell so that lets you know when there's a video coming out. And we'll be back really soon with another video.
Yep.